What's up guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be sharing with you my September and October favorites slash my summer to fall transitional favorites. Maybe not even transitional. I feel like September was like summer for me and October has just been like, it's fall girl, it's fall. So with the seasons kind of changing, my tastes have kind of changed in terms of like makeup and stuff, but I've been dipping into the same products pretty regularly now, and I just kind of wanted to share with you what I've been using. Most of the exciting stuff here is makeup, so sorry if you're here to hear about skincare. I do have a couple of things to share, but let's just get right into it. Okay, so I have quite a few complexion products to talk about here. I feel like I'm always trying to like perfect that base, perfect that complexion, and especially since I don't wear foundation, I don't know, I feel like I look for certain things in the other products that I use. So the first thing I want to talk about is the J.Cat Aquasurance powder foundation. I have mine in the shade Ivory, and I did have to buy a couple of shades and see which one would match me the most. As far as I'm aware, the powders do darken a little bit once you apply it. I found that the shade Ivory, I'm not sure, I think it might be like the second lightest shade that they offer, but I found that this one is pretty good. The undertones in the shade range isn't the most extensive. I think this one is still maybe a little bit. Oh yeah, when I swatch it on my hand it looks super light and powdery, but honestly when I put it on my skin it really kind of changes color. I guess like with the oils in your skin it really does darken. I've been really liking this. I love the idea of using a powder foundation to go over certain areas of your face where you need a bit more coverage, because I feel like when you apply a concealer it can wear off pretty easily. So I actually forgot to use it today, which is why I feel like my makeup doesn't look as good. I usually go in with an under eye concealer and a spot concealer. I sometimes use the sponge that it comes with and just kind of press it into the areas that need more coverage, or I've also been using a little bit of a denser powder brush and kind of swipe it over that way. That also works really well. Obviously the sponge adds the most coverage, and yeah, I really like this powder. I have pretty dry skin and I feel like it works really well with it. It doesn't really emphasize the dryness or anything. My forehead is probably like the driest part of my face, and I try not to use too much of the powder there, but I do like to add a bit to add some extra coverage, and it works really well, especially if you use a setting spray, which I do have one that I'm going to be talking about. I feel like this powder foundation and a setting spray just really give you a really nice, smooth, flawless complexion. This is also a super affordable product. I think it's like maybe $15 regular price at Ulta, and Ulta always has coupons, so you can get 20% off pretty easily, which brings the price down even more. So yeah, if you can find a color that works for you, I would definitely recommend checking this powder out. And the nice thing about using a powder foundation is that I feel like powder bronzers and stuff apply super flawlessly on top of it. And the one I was using pretty much all of September and a good chunk of October is the Charlotte Tilbury Filmstar Bronze and Glow palette. This is such a classic. I don't really hear people talk about it too much anymore, but it's just a gorgeous, gorgeous powder that comes with a beautiful contour bronzer color as well as a highlight. I wasn't really into the highlight when I first got this palette, but I think the kind of highlights that were trendy back then were the like really blinding metallic highlights, and this is definitely more on the subtle side. But actually now that I've used it more recently, I actually really like this highlight as well. It's just a really pretty, more subtle but still gorgeous and glowy highlight. I definitely use the contour color on this palette a bit more. There's just something about this powder that I feel like just applies so smoothly and beautifully, and like just the perfect amount of pigmentation. I also really like the color of it. I'm not sure how to explain. It's a contour color and it's like quite neutral and like on the cooler side, but for some reason I just feel like it adds a nice bit of warmth to my face. Honestly, it's just a really beautiful powder, and it has a tiny bit of not like sheen to it, but it's not completely matte, and I just think it looks gorgeous on the cheeks. It was popular for a reason, and I'm glad that I dug back into my collection and started using it again because it's just a great product. I am sad though because the packaging on mine must have like broken a little. I think the tab doesn't stay shut when I close it, which is kind of annoying because this is a pretty expensive palette, but it still looks beautiful and works fine. I actually have some new brushes that I'm really excited to talk about because I don't normally buy new tools and stuff. I feel like I've kind of found what works for me, but a couple of months ago I decided to pick up these EcoTools brushes. First one is the EcoTools full powder brush. It's this really big fluffy brush, and this has become my absolute holy grail bronzer contour brush. Even though it looks super big, it's actually a little bit flatter on the sides and it tapers at the tip. So you can actually get a decent amount of definition when you're using it to apply bronzer and contour. And I usually kind of apply them as both just to give some definition to my face. And I just really like the size of it. My cheeks are like kind of big, and I feel like the size just works really well for me because it just applies the perfect amount of product super quickly, and because it's so fluffy, it blends it out really easily. I find that it works really well with all of the other bronzers and contouring powders that I have. The other EcoTools brush that I've been loving is the Define brush, and this one's kind of annoying because I think you can only get it in a set. I think this one comes with like a really fat fan brush, which is also pretty cool, just not a brush that I find that I reach for every day. I've seen people also really like to use this for contouring and bronzing as well, but what I love it for is as a blush brush. Why is that so hard to say? But basically what I love about it is obviously like it's a lot smaller than the powder brush. It has a pretty similar shape, like it's pretty round, but it really tapers at the top and kind of flattens out on the sides a little bit. And I think it's just perfect for applying blush for me because it's not too small. Like, it has a decent amount of surface area, but it's also really precise because of the shape of it. It's on the denser side of brushes, and I just feel like it picks up a good amount of product, but because it's so fluffy, it's super easy to blend. And I feel like I just had so much trouble applying blush with some of the other brushes that I tried because they were just like too big or like too flimsy, and it either like wouldn't pick up enough product and it would apply it patchy. And I don't know, this brush really works well for me and I've been loving it. It works great for like any type of powder blush in general because I feel like with the more like pigmented blushes that I have, I just know just to tap into it more lightly. But it also picks up the less pigmented blushes really well because it's so dense, and I love this brush. So for blushes, as summer was winding down and fall is in swing now, I've been really leaning towards like pumpkin-y tones and just warm browns in general. So these are some of my favorites actually. I think my number one at the moment is the Becca Mineral Blush in Wild Honey. I tried looking for this blush online and it doesn't look like it's on Sephora or Ulta anymore. So I don't know if they're discontinuing it or if Becca is like has reformulated their blushes or something, but this blush is beautiful. At first when I bought it, I really didn't like it for some reason. I felt like it looked muddy on my face. I'm not sure if it's because I hadn't found a good blush brush to use, or like maybe it was mixing with the bronzer weirdly, but it's a gorgeous color. It's just a really pretty peach that leans a lot more neutral and has quite a bit of brown in it. I was actually looking for that kind of color when I bought this blush, and this is the Clinique Cheek Pop Blush Pop in Nude Pop. This is actually what I was hoping Nude Pop was going to be, but then I realized that I had Wild Honey in my collection already. I love the Cheek Pop formula. They're probably like one of my favorite blush formulas. I just wish they would come out with even more colors because I'm just not super into like super pinky blushes anymore. I don't know if you can see, but it just has like such a nice shine to it. And these blushes like are on the sheerer side, but because they have like a bit of translucency, I think it looks so natural on the skin. And the formula isn't like powdery at all, so it really just sinks into the skin. People always say this, but I feel like it just gives you that like perfect glow from within. This one's definitely a lot more of on the like pinky peach nude side, whereas Wild Honey is quite a bit more orangey brown. And I have one more blush to talk about. This one is also one of my favorite formulas. It's the MAC Extra Dimension blush, and this one's in the shade Hush Tone. I think this one has a bit more of a berry color to it. I'm not sure if it's just like the shimmer. This one definitely has the most sheen out of all the three blushes. I wouldn't call any of them matte, but this one just actually has some really fine shimmer particles. So this one is Wild Honey, this one is Nude Pop, and this one is Hush Tone. Hush Tone I would say is a lot more on the rosy side. So I've been really liking all three of these blushes, especially applied with my EcoTools brush. Alright, we've covered bronzer, we've covered blush, now we're gonna go into highlight, and I found the perfect summer cream liquid highlight combo. And I mean, it's a little sad because now going into fall I haven't been reaching for this as much. It's a pretty bougie combo, but I have been loving mixing these two together. This is the Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Flawless Filter. I have the shade 2. This is the Becca Shimmering Skin Perfector Liquid Highlighter in Champagne Pop. And both of these are honestly gorgeous on their own, but I feel like they just have certain properties that when mixed together, they just create the ultimate dewy highlight. So what I love about the Hollywood Flawless Filter is that this does not have shimmer in it. It's just purely reflective. So obviously the base color is kind of like skin tone colored, so it is sheer, and you could like get away going like a shade lighter or darker depending on what kind of effect you want, but it's also because of how reflective this formula is. And this is like right as I've swatched it, and then when I blend it in, you can just see. But anyway, on its own, it just gives you a very sophisticated, beautiful, glowy, perfect skin kind of look. But in the summer, I really like something a bit more golden and bronzy looking, and that's where Prosecco Pop comes, or sorry, this is Champagne Pop comes in. The Becca liquid highlighters aren't quite as like dramatic as the powder highlights, but that's what I like because it doesn't really emphasize texture on your skin. It just gives you a very dewy, beautiful highlight look. So when you mix these together, you just get such a beautiful like golden reflective peachy color, and it looks amazing on your cheeks. So yeah, I would highly recommend these two products individually depending on what kind of look you're going for. I would say the Becca one gives you a bit more of that like shimmery dimensional effect to the liquid highlight, whereas the Charlotte Tilbury is just like pure reflective dewiness. But if you already have one and want to pick up the other, or you already have both, then I would highly recommend trying them out together. So the final step to any perfected makeup look is setting spray, and I have become a religious setting spray user now. The one that I've fallen in love with is the Cover FX Dewy Finish Setting Spray. So this is one of the only, if not the only, setting sprays that I've found at Sephora or anywhere that is safe for fungal acne. Quite a lot of the setting sprays have some kind of oil or maybe polysorbate in them. I don't have the ingredients list here, but I'm pretty sure this one is fungal acne safe. It hasn't broken me out, and it is a beautiful spray. I would actually compare it to the Tatcha Luminous Dewy Skin Mist. I feel like it gives you a very dewy finish, and also the mist is super great on this. Like, it's so fine. Do you see that? It's gorgeous. So I've been watching a lot of Ali Glines' videos, and she always goes in with setting spray and her fan, and then she goes with the sponge once it's kind of dried down a bit to kind of blend everything together. And that's exactly what I've been doing. I don't feel like I have to wait very long because this mist is so fine, and I just feel like it gives you the most perfected look at the end. I don't like to look too dewy in the chin or the T-zone area, so I do actually like to go in with a bit of powder in those areas after I go in with the setting spray, but after that, it's perfect. I'm gonna quickly talk about two sunscreens that I've been loving, especially this one in September, and now I've been reaching for this one the rest of the time. But this one is the Colorescience Sunforgettable Total Protection Face Shield, and this is a SPF 50 broad spectrum PA triple plus, and it's a chemical free active 100% mineral sunscreen, and it's water and sweat resistant for 40 minutes. I think this is a great sunscreen. Like I said, it's a mineral sunscreen, so it uses zinc oxide to filter out the UV rays. I feel like I need to do a bit more research on like the true difference between mineral and chemical sunscreens. because I feel like chemical sunscreen filters are so different, especially like outside of the US. But either way, I just made sure to apply a lot of sunscreen on the days when I was going to be out in the sun a lot, and I did really enjoy using this one. It does have this like peachy tint to it. It does leave a bit of a tint, which I didn't love, but honestly, putting makeup over it, it looked totally fine. It wore well under makeup, like I didn't have any problems, and I feel like the formula was nicely hydrating. So basically, if you're fungal acne prone and you have been looking for a good mineral sunscreen, or you're just a person with really sensitive skin and just only uses mineral sunscreen, then I would definitely recommend checking this out. I got mine from dermstore.com, and I think I got like 20 or 30% off, which is great because they usually do these different sales throughout the year. So yeah, I would definitely recommend checking this out. It's a great sunscreen. The other one that I've been using is one I've talked about on my channel before, and it's the Subuji Sun Cotton SPF 50 PA Quadruple Plus. So I've been using this one on a daily basis on the days when I haven't been using the physical sunscreen one. I really like how the sunscreen feels on my face. It's just a really nice creamy consistency that's really lightweight and just kind of absorbs into the skin really well. I feel like I was using the like Japanese sunscreen that had more of the watery essence texture, which is even lighter than this one, but I felt like that one did leave almost oily, kind of tacky feeling, especially when I applied it to my hand. So this one just leaves a really nice soft finish, and I feel like I can apply a lot of it without it leaving any kind of white cast or feeling heavy. So I've been really liking this one. Lastly, I have a little eyeshadow palette that I want to briefly talk about. It's kind of cheating because I've only had this for a couple of days, but I feel like with certain makeup products, you just kind of know if it's going to be a favorite after a couple of uses. It's this little LORAC palette. I think it's a collaboration with Rachel Zoe. It's called the Hollywood Glamour Mini Palette. It's super tiny. It's like credit card sized and perfect for travel, but also daily usage because I don't ever finish an eyeshadow palette. I don't use a ton every day, and the color selection here is just perfect, honestly. So it comes with 6 colors, and this kind of warm toned matte brown is essential for me. I use this kind of color every day. Sometimes it's the only color I use on my lids. And then I also love that this has a really great inner corner highlight color. This is a really pretty gold color that has some like pink glitters in it. And then I love this color a lot. I'm actually surprised at how much I love this color because it's pretty unique. Let me just swatch a couple. The shadow quality themselves is awesome. I love LORAC shadows. The mattes are pretty powdery, but the other colors are very nice and buttery. So here are the swatches. Sorry I didn't really do them in order, but yeah, this is that matte brown color. This one is like a matte reddish one, and then this one is just a really pretty, like almost like mauve-y purple brown color. It has definitely a bit of purple to it, but it still leans on the warmer side, like it's not super taupe, and I really like that. It just has a nice bit of shimmer and sheen to it. And then the only colors that I probably won't use super much are the glitter and this kind of like lighter purple shimmery color. But besides that, I just love this palette. I feel like all eyeshadow palettes should just come in this size because for $15 I could buy so many of them and just have a complete collection, you know? Alright, the last makeup favorite that I'm talking about is an honorable mention just because I don't actually wear lip products very much at all. I pretty much just throw them on if I'm going to be shooting something or taking photos. But I've been really liking this color from ColourPop. It's their Just a Tint lip crayon, and my favorite is the shade Cherry Pickin'. I have like basically the 4 neutral colors from the range, but Cherry Pickin' is definitely my favorite. I feel like the name is kind of off on this one because there is no like cherry red color to it in my opinion. It's more of just like a peachy brown color, but I think it's like the perfect fall nude color. It's actually what I'm wearing today, and I have pretty pigmented lips, so I actually just really like this formula in general because the crayons do have quite a bit of pigment to them, but since they apply sheer and glossy, I feel like it just combines well with my lip. One more favorite to share with you all, and I wanted to throw in something a little fun and different. I don't know why I've been living under a rock for so long, but I had the honor of trying a Tim Tam for the first time a couple weeks ago, and I immediately became obsessed. If you're like me and you didn't really know what a Tim Tam was before, basically I think it's originated from Australia, and it's just the perfect chocolate crunchy cookie ever. So after I had my first Tim Tam, I went to our local grocery store that actually carries quite a bit of international foods and stuff, but they didn't carry them. But I later found out that Target actually sells them. I don't know if Pepperidge like owns the creator of the product now, but it's sold at Target, which is great. The original flavor is where it's at, because my friend had the dark chocolate one and the original one, and I went for the dark chocolate one first because I don't usually like how sweet milk chocolate is, but the original is where it's at because these are so delicious. But basically it's a chocolate cookie sandwich with chocolate cream in the middle, and then it has like chocolate ganache, or like it's dipped in chocolate afterwards. It's a lot of chocolate, but oh my god, my mouth is like salivating. It's so good. Like, it's not too rich, it's not too decadent, it's not too sweet. It has a great combination of textures, and I don't know what else to say. If you've never had a Tim Tam, please do yourself a favor and go to your local Target and pick up a bag of these. Wow, okay, I think I've been filming for like an hour and I've been talking a lot. Anyway, if you made it to the end, thank you so much for watching this video. If you have an idea for a video that you would like to see from me, please leave it down in the comments below and I will definitely get back to you. Other than that, I hope you have a wonderful day or night wherever you are, and I will see you in my next video.